Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and I finally got a chance to do yet another Christmas card, even though we're pretty much down to the wire at this point. But the ideas are somewhat flowing, and I just got this stamper, well I just showed it in a haul recently. Sadly it was kind of sitting forgotten in the package for a couple of weeks. Anyway, this is the Gifts of Love stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. It was part of their, I think it was their December card kit. So I got the stamps and I got the coordinating pattern paper because it's super cute. And I thought I would pull out my Copic markers for the first time in forever. I honestly can't even remember the last time I colored with my Copics. Yeah, when I'd gone to pull them out for a different card a couple months ago, I mentioned in my last haul video, I had ordered a refill because for the first time in almost 10 years, my R27 Copic marker was dried out. So got the refill, had a little mishap, which I posted on my Facebook page with that, but refilled the red, and that's actually because it's like the red I reach for all the time. So I used it on this little image. I super sped this up because I didn't do anything super fancy with the coloring because, again, it's been a long time. I wanted to keep this quick and simple, kind of the idea that this is like, a last minute sort of Christmas card, and with all the chaos going on, that's kind of what it was anyway. So I colored the little cat. I think this is a cat. It looks like a cat to me. With just W3, W1, and W00. And then for the greens, I was using G28 and G29. And then the reds was the R27 and the R24. And here's where I made a mistake because I was using lighter weight cardstock. I'm using 80-pound Nina cardstock. And normally I prefer the 110-pound when I am coloring with Copics because of the thicker cardstock. It helps absorb more of the ink. With the thinner cardstock, you just have to use a much lighter touch. And I wasn't thinking because it's been so long since I used them, so I wasn't really paying attention at first, and the color was really seeping out past the lines and making a mess. So because time for me is such a luxury, rather than redo it, I decided I was going to make do. At first I tried pushing it out with the lighter colors, and that just wasn't going to work. So instead, I just trimmed out the images, and I only used 2 of the gifts and just tossed that little polka dot one because it was too much of a mess to salvage. So I fussy cut them all out. And this is something I haven't done. It feels like it's been forever since I've done this. But I fussy cut them all out. And then to make the images look a little more finished, I use my Memento Tuxedo Black marker and just hold it so it's kind of perpendicular to the cut image and rub the edge of the marker along all the cut lines. So it completely covers up that white edge of the cardstock and just makes it look more finished, less messy. Yeah, that's an old fussy cutting technique that now with all the die cutting we do, it has literally been, can't even remember the last time I've done that. So did that. So I was able to salvage those little guys so I didn't have to recolor the images. And then I've got some green-eyed monster cardstock. It happened to kind of match the green in these pattern papers. So I die cut it with the Pierce Circle Stacks Dynamics from MFT. And then the sentiment is from the same Gifts of Love stamp set. So I coated the die cut circle with my anti-static powder tool and then stamped the sentiment with Versamark ink. And then holding it over my coffee filter, I just poured on some detail white embossing powder. And then I'm going to hold this with my reverse tweezers because there's not a whole lot of space on this circle to hold it and heat emboss at the same time without burning my fingers. So get everything kind of out of the way. I'm filming a little bit closer up because trust me, if I had backed off a little too much, my desk was an absolute disaster when I made this card. I've got stuff piled up all over it. I think most people can relate to having, a 6-inch square spot to craft in, and I think I have less than that at this point. It's bad. And as of even doing this voiceover, I still haven't even cleaned up from this card. I have stuff everywhere. It's insane. Anyway. Once I melted the image, I wiped off, let it cool for a few seconds, and then wiped off that anti-static powder with my hands so that there's not that white powdery residue. And then I'm going to adhere the pattern papers I chose from the pack onto my card front. I kind of had a little idea sketched out on a scrap of paper of how I wanted to do my layout. And then I had this ribbon sitting out from the previous card I made. I didn't use this ribbon, I had used the gingham ribbon if you watched the previous card video. But I had chosen this one too just in case, and it was still sitting on my desk along with the rest of the mess. So I thought it was cute, and I think I said this in the last video, I'm not sure, but ribbon for me is something when I start using it again, I start wanting to use it more and more, and just every card doesn't feel complete until there's ribbons. So I'm starting to feel that again. It's just fun. So I cut a length of the ribbon, wrapped it around the little card front here, and then just taped it on the back with some Scotch tape. And then I thought for a second about popping these little guys up with dimensionals because they would be really cute. But I thought, you know what, I'd keep this card really flat. This is a card where you could just make really quickly, get her done, adhere everything flat so you don't have to pay extra postage, and then just pop it in the mail. So adhered the little cat and the 2 gifts instead of the 3. And then I did the same thing with the sentiment. I just adhered it flat to the card. Obviously, if you wanted to kind of dress it up a bit, popping it up on dimensionals would just give it that little extra something. But like I said, I just wanted to keep this flat and simple. So the only little dimension, of course, is the ribbon bow. But ribbon like this tends to go through the mail, no problem. I've never paid extra postage when I use it and tie it in bows or anything, just because it's, you know, thinner ribbon and it lays pretty flat. So doing it this way too, I said this in the previous video, it's an easier way to kind of be able to practice and tie your bows when the main piece is wrapped around and taped down, and then you can just fiddle with a separate piece to get the bow right the way you want it. Yeah, so did that, and then set that aside to do my card base, which is just heavyweight white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and then scored at 5 1/2. On my trusty little score pal with my absolutely fabulous Teflon bone folder. Again, for the millionth time, if you do not own one, I highly recommend getting one. It just so much better than any bone folder I've ever used. So did that, and then again, adhered the card front flat to the card. Could also pop it up with foam tape, but at this point I just was wanting to get this done. I had so many things on the go. Like, that's a nice thing about voiceovers, is everything's a lot calmer and quieter. You guys don't hear the chaos. So got that all adhered, and then to finish off the inside, there's this little Merry Christmas stamp in the set. So I just inked that up with the same black licorice ink and stamped that onto the inside of the card. So I just lined it up on my grid mat there, and then kind of eyeballed the grid lines on the acrylic block and stamp that. And then I have the coordinating ink to the cardstock I use for the sentiment on the front, the Green-Eyed Monster ink. So I'm just inking out these little tiny starburst type images. There's 3 little images that come with the set. So I inked up each one and then stamped them around the sentiment just to finish it off. So just a cute little touch. And that's all there was to it. So as always, there will be info below the video in the description box, as well as below the video if you're on my blog watching this, wherever. The links to my blog post, all that kind of stuff, supplies, all of it is there for you guys to check out if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.